Welcome to iPen Podcast, Interviews and Conversations. Here we bring entrepreneurs and their business to their audience and communities as well as ours. We welcome and connect with them to share who they are and what they do. Authors, entrepreneurs, we extend the invitation to promote your business here on our podcast and in iPen Magazine. Your article, your story, your promotions, how you can connect with others, a new audience, a quarterly magazine presented online for all to view and subscribe to. For articles, ads, and subscriptions, please contact ipendesigns@gmail.com. For your viewing, you can see past articles, past interviews on www.nanettembuchanan.com. Welcome to the show. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to thank everyone that has hung in with us for this time. We're doing well and we're continuing on. And if you know anyone, as the commercial just said, please let them know that we promote not only authors, not only people that are in the literary world, but we also promote entrepreneurs. Anyone doing something positive for the community, we'd like to share what they do so that people will know who they are and get what they need to get for youth, for adults, for seniors, for programs. We like to promote all of that. And with that being said, I have to bring on my partner in crime. I always say partner in crime. She says she carries the shovel and hides all of the dirt that we might need to cover up. However, so far we've been doing great. We haven't had to use the shovel one time at all. So I'd like to bring on my partner in crime, Miss Felice Reeves. Felice, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you, sweetie?
I am well, and I love the intro. And yes, the shovel is still very shiny and brand new. So good job, Nanette.
Yes. We haven't had to cover any dirt. We haven't had to go back and say we didn't do that. And we haven't had to make any apologies for anything that's unnecessary, although we know that in some cases, things are just not what they crack up to be. Yes. So we're proud about that. I also want to let you guys know before we bring our guests on that our holiday issue of iPen Magazine is out. It is on my website. It is available. If you do want a printed copy, the prices that you see there on my website are for printed copies, so that you can get printed copies and you can subscribe to the yearly quarterly issues for a year if you like to get the yearly printed copy. So it's up to you what you want to order, but they are there and it is there for your viewing. So we also want to thank those that were in our issue. Again, if you come onto the show, you have an opportunity to be a part of the magazine. So all you have to do is send your questions and answers to my website, ipendesigns@gmail.com. You can go there. You can see the magazine. You can see the articles. You can contact me through that website, or you can just shoot me an email at ipendesigns@gmail.com. But we want to let you know that in that magazine, we tell the stories of the people that we interview, as well as look for ads. So if you just want to put an ad in and it's coming up, just make sure you put your ad in. We do all of that. Now, tonight's guest, I want to introduce this lady of excellence to you. As you all know, these last few weeks that we've been talking to people, there have been people that were a part of my journey in the very beginning and are still a part of my journey. And I'm proud to say that a lot of times we say that we meet people along the way and then we don't know where they are. As you can very well see with our past shows, I know where all of those that met me on my journey when I was starting out, I know where they are and I'm still connected to them. Right. I may not talk to them every day. I may not talk to them often, but I remain connected to them because the connections that you make are important, especially when you're trying to do things differently. So tonight we have Miss Patricia Johnson-Harris. I can't even put it into words. Okay. She's a bundle of joy. That's the only thing I can say. She brings a smile to your face whenever you meet her. She has a very soft-spoken voice, and all she does is just tell you it's going to be okay. I remember her telling me that, I didn't know she was, as a matter of fact, was one of the very first vending events I went to, was one of her events. And it was a big event. So I was kind of like, oh my God, what do I do? I only have like 2 books. What am I going to do? How am I going to look with all of these people here with all of these books? And don't even know what to do. And she was one of the type that just, your book is beautiful and you're beautiful and it's going to be okay. And I've been in touch with her ever since, because we need that nudge. We need that positivity. And she extended it. Well, I'll let her get into that.
Yeah,
She extended all of that and all of that goodness she's blessed others with. So we're going to have that conversation with Miss Patricia Harris. How are you, sweetie?
Hi, Nanette. Hi, Felice. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Thank you for coming,
beautiful. How are you? How are you?
Good. I am good. God is good.
God is good all the time.
All the time. So I didn't want to give the outline and then have them find out all the juice. I want to give it all at the same time.
Right.
So tell everyone exactly who is Patricia Johnson-Harris?
You would think that would be an easy question, right? But it's given I'm wearing a different hat. Right, I'm wearing a different hat, so I might say I'm this person, at this time, or this person, but for the most part, like you said, I'm Patricia Johnson-Harris. Like Lynette said, we met each other. It had to have been maybe when I started the African American.
Don't tell it. You, my friend, we'll keep the secret.
Listen, I don't want y'all to have to bring the shovel out on my show. I don't want y'all to do that with me. I don't want y'all to have to do that with me.
We're gonna let the years be unknown.
Okay, I won't say the year, but I when I started the African American Authors and Empowerment Expo, it was an authors expo to really support local and independent authors. And what I was finding in the area was that when there was a local author, specifically Black authors, when there was events, they had seemed to be pushed to the back of these festivals that people were doing, and so the Authors Expo was a platform to put them in the front. It was all about them. It wasn't any big celebrity and then they're in the back. They were all in the front. So it was really just trying to give them a platform so that the community and the public can come out and meet them and know, hey, we have some fantastic authors that look like us, that have books that look like us, and just getting to know the community and the community getting to know the author. So way back when, I ain't gonna say when.
5 minutes ago.
Nanette is her wonderful husband, and she was a part of the Authors Expo every single year. And that means a lot to me when you're doing an event and someone says, I'll be back next year. I'm doing something right. It's something that's making somebody say, this is worth my time. This is worth the commitment of driving or getting there and being a part of this. And I appreciate each and every one that was a part of the Authors Expo.
Now, let me ask you this. At that time, just so the audience is clear, at that time, were you an author?
I was not. I still don't really feel like I'm an author. I'm a co-author of a book, but and that was the thing, at the time I was working with my husband in his promotion, his entertainment business, and I was doing vendors, right? I was having vendors set up, and it was just really weird because authors used to come to me and say, hey, can I vend at your event? And I was like, really? You normally have the jewelry vendors, the pocketbook vendors, those things. But authors started asking me, can they vend at the event? And I'm like, yeah. And so I would just save a space free of charge for these authors. And I think one would tell another one and would tell another one, and then the calls just kept coming and coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, something's here. Something is here with this, you know. And you know, I found myself at a fork really in the road, because it was like tapping on my shoulder saying, do this event for authors. And I'm like, but I'm not an author, you know, I don't really know that lane, you know, but enough taps on my shoulders told me, okay, I might not have been down this road before, but I'm being encouraged to go down this road. So I'm just going to follow the path. You know, I'm gonna lead the way God's telling me to go. And I know whatever I'm going to need to make this work, he's going to deliver for me. Right. So not really knowing much about authors, not really knowing a lot of authors, you know, I started the Authors Expo because I was just listening to their stories, and they would, I'm doing my books out of my trunk, or I have my books in my basement, you know. So those stories just kind of really inspired me to do the Authors Expo and to provide that platform, because it really was not here in Maryland. Something like that.
Well, all right. My hat's off to you. I'm already super impressed. If I wasn't impressed with the bio, I'm already super impressed. That's amazing. I appreciate that. So,
but I probably totally avoided the question. Again, this is Patricia Johnson-Harris. I've been in Maryland. I've been in Maryland for 26 years. Married to a wonderful, wonderful man, Roger Harris of Charm City Jazz. We have 4 children, and I am a cost accountant by trade. Numbers are my thing. I love numbers. And I also have a nonprofit where I work with youth as well.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So we can just sum it up saying busy.
Yes. Many hats.
Yes.
We can sum it up saying busy. So from the Authors Empowerment Expo, from going from that, you saw the need for the writers that were writing adult fiction, writing documentaries, writing true to life stories, speaking. You also had a couple of events, I remember, where you invited guests in to do workshops and to do different things. So the event was not just a vending event. It was also a learning event for some of the authors that were new. Some of the authors that were old were there and able to share their work. I remember doing one of the workshops myself. So there was always a way to mix and mingle. I also remember you allowed us at one of the events to even pitch our books to those that were doing independent films, as well as those that were incorporated in bigger films. Nice. So you gave us an opportunity to do all of that. See, she's kind of shy, Felice. So I'm but
that's where the empowerment comes from.
Right.
It's the Authors Expo, but that's where that empowerment comes through. And it's one thing to say, I wrote a book, but now what? Okay, you wrote a book. Now what? What happens after that? And I think with so many new authors, they don't think that far down the line. Like, okay, after I write this book, then what? You know, am I going to use this book as the next step to be a speaker, go to some events and talk about it and kind of have the book? Am I going to take this book and turn it into a short film where I can show it in theaters or turn it into a play? It's like, now what? So the empowerment piece of the expo was to give that extra step to those authors, you know, like you said, experienced authors, as well as, you know, first-time authors, just saying, I got the ability to do a little more than with this book, all my blood, sweat, and tears, and you know, and that's why I added that empowerment piece to it.
So, how often do you do your expos then?
Well, I was doing an expo every year, and I got to probably year 9, and then I shift gears a little bit, because what I found out, what was happening during the years of the Authors Expo is that. Because we it was a family event, so we always had activities and things that kids could be involved in, right? But what I was noticing was that more and more children were coming to the expo with their parents, right? And this particular time, I didn't have on a shirt that says Authors Expo or anything. I was just like a a person just coming out to, to be at the event. And I just started noticing these children standing at these authors' tables, right? They're standing there, they're holding their books in their hand, and they're probably, what I thought was, they were thinking, she looks like me, or could this be me on the other side of this table, right? And that really inspired me to say, well, youth can be authors too. You don't have to be an adult, to be an author. Writing to me is like being creative, right? You're writing that creative mindset, that thing that's going around in your head and like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me write about this, And even if it's a memoir, you're still writing from experience, something you experienced or witnessed. And I felt at that point I needed to get the kids involved into this whole thing as well. And then so from that Authors Expo, we started Youth Writers Challenge, and that was kind of like giving the students the opportunity to challenge themselves, like, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? Is it writing? Is it singing? Is it dancing? Like, what would you like to do? And so I found myself varying from the Authors Expo to the Youth Writers Challenge.
Very good. I love it. I love evolution.
We just took a little turn with that. Yeah.
So quickly, because I want to hear a lot about the Youth Writers Challenge. However, I want to understand the book you later decided to write after you became this celebrator, as I always say, of writers or authors to put on the expo. So what is your book, and why? What happened that you wrote the book? What's the subject of the book? And
well, I was a co-author in the book, so I wrote a chapter in the book, and my chapter actually is the last chapter in the book. And Nikki Woods, she was the radio manager for Tom Joyner. She was when Tom Joyner was on the radio. She was his director. Don't know the right term, but she had wrote a book, and I invited her down to the expo, and we had a very, very long, intense conversation, and just telling her about my life and how I grew up and things like that. And so she was kind of like, Pat, like, you gotta put this out there. Like, you gotta put this out there. So the book is called, and I thought I had a copy. Yeah, it's called Shift On. And it's just stories of people making a shift in their life. Going from tragedy to triumph. And the title in my chapter in the book is called Failure Isn't Fatal or Final. Failure isn't final or fatal, basically. It's if you feel like you're falling down, or even if you hit the ground, it ain't final, it ain't over, it ain't the end. Get back up, and you can do that. In that chapter, I pretty much talk about my life to this point, to adulthood, and the things that I had experienced throughout my life, and feeling like I've triumphed. I'm the person I am today because of those experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. I heard a saying a couple of days ago, how we always say we don't look like what we've been through.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But whoever was talking said, no, you need to say, I do look like what I've been through, because like a diamond that has to go through pressure and all of that, it's the beauty of the whole thing. And yes, you do.
Yes.
So that I heard that yesterday, and I think it was 2 days ago, when I was like, oh, that changed my whole perspective of that. Because I'm quick to say, well, baby, I don't look like what I've been through.
That is so true. I've not heard that before. But
but you're supposed to say, yes, I look like what I've been through. Because like a diamond, I'm now shining because of those trials and being triumphant over them. So, woo.
Yeah,
and they say that all the time, that it's the pressure that crushes the diamond and forms the shape and makes the diamond distinctly different from any other diamond. You're not going to find one with the same cut. You're not going to find one with the same shape, because it's the pressure that it goes through. And each of us go through those pressures. And like you said, turning trials into triumphs.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just the, and I always talk about the mindset. It's always the mindset and of what we go through, that how is it that I can turn my situation, which may be titled the same as your situation, but I turn mine into a triumph, and you're barely getting through yours. You barely can make it through, but you're not looking at it the same way, and you're not looking at that pressure being the pressure that's going to make you come out the diamond on the other end. One of the things that I find so profound about the whole shift that you have gone through, and I say it from watching and paying attention and speaking to you every now and then. One of the things that I think, and I always tell people, if you work with children in any capacity,
go with this.
I don't care if you're the mama, I don't care if you're the grandma, but if you're working with children in any capacity, it changes the trajectory of whatever you're trying to do. Because they have their own thing. They have their own way of shifting and moving and understanding. And it's not so much that they don't understand you. It's just that, hey, that ain't what I'm trying to do. Right. And they start that. I used to say all the time, the most manipulative creature in the world is a brand new baby. They are the most manipulative creatures in the world. You love them to death, but they are the most manipulative. And I'll prove it. You lay the baby down, the baby is mouth wide open, drooling and everything, sleep. You lay the baby down. The baby cries, hollers. Maybe 30 minutes later, maybe, sometime later, hollers. And you begin to walk. And the baby hears the walk and stops this enormous yelling and screaming that like they're being tortured. They stop because they're listening. Now, as you come toward them, they're watching. If your footstep stops, that yell becomes twice as much as it was before. And they use that manipulation all the way up until you as the mother or you as the caregiver figure out I'm being manipulated.
Did you figure it out, Lynette? Did you ever?
And sometimes it takes parents.
Is that going to be your next book?
All the way. Sometimes it takes parents all the way through adulthood before they figure out that their kids been manipulating them their whole life. Yes. They are the key manipulators. They will do that. So with that, like I said, I worked with kids. I worked with kids for years. But when you're dealing with the different age groups and you dealt with them, like you said, you put the challenge in front of them, which means that each one of them had their own little ideas and their own little thing. How did you, and I know you and I have worked together on some of their projects. How did you change that challenge of what is it that you want to do in, like you said, you saw them standing at the table. Okay. You didn't know what they might have wanted or what their curiosity might have been. But in some way you formatted that into a creative writing skill for them. I'd like to be a fly on the wall when the project first starts. And just so you know, Felice, I'm usually at the end of the project. She's already gone through the manipulations and the ups and downs. She's already.
I already guessed that. I did.
She's already at that part. I'm at the end. Yes.
Lynette would prefer to deal with criminals locked behind bars.
I'm like, wait a minute. We're dealing with children that have imaginations and children that have a different idea. If you said to them, I believe one of the first stories we worked with was a red balloon. I remember that story out of all of the stories that she and I did together. We worked with a red balloon, and for some reason there was 1,000 things that this red balloon could do.
Oh, wow.
So how do you take it from the 1,000 ideas, all of that creativity bubbling? How do you get it to be the one book that they wind up with? And for the audience, just so that you know, these youth publish their work.
Nice.
It's not that they're just working and creating stories. These become published books.
Exactly. Yeah. From doing the challenge, what we had, because like I said, we opened it up to everything, anything, any creative thing that they love to do. But a lot of the people that have registered for these challenges were doing poetry and short stories. Right. So again, the bell went off again, you know, like the idea went off again, like, okay. Now we got the Youth Writers Challenge, but I'm gonna do like a subdivision and make it Youth Writers Rock, right? And Youth Writers Rock is a 6-month writing program that we take these students through. And Nanette, even like with the, you know, we work with students grades 4 through 12. So we're starting out working with 9-year-olds, right? So we're going from 9-year-olds all the way up to 16-year-olds. And as you said, they are very creative. And when we start these sessions, they're throwing every idea imaginable out there. And what we do is we actually write them all down, right? And say, we can't do a book about all of this. What do you think is most important to have in your book, you know? And so we kind of let them decide what stays in, what goes out, and then we bring it in even more from that point. You know, we probably got the list down to 5 subject things, you know, and now we're like, okay, well, we're going to get it down to 3, you know. One thing that was common in that particular book was they all wanted the balloon, you know.
So it's a collective, it's not individual.
But they all was intrigued by this red balloon.
Wow. So,
you know.
So, but it's a collective of the group that creates the book. It's not individuals creating their own book.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that.
As a collective, they're all throwing out their ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
All their ideas and said, okay, let's take a vote. You know, you can only pick this number of them, which ones you think it should be, and then we just took the common ones that they selected.
Very good. I love it. That's creative.
But their minds are like, you ever see people go poof, like that?
Yeah.
That's what happens in them sessions with them young individuals. It's kind of like, how did you even think of that? Like, I never would have thought of that, you know, and it's rewarding to me. I think it's rewarding to the other coaches just to see how creative they get. We just sit back and we just let them go. And I'm like, that's amazing. That is amazing when they know there's no, you know, there's no nothing stopping them from actually saying what they're really thinking, you know, what's on their mind. So when they first come into session, you know, it's usually very quiet, you know, they don't know the other students in the class. They don't know the other students. So it's really kind of saying, all right, well, let's talk about each other. We try and do some icebreakers, you know, to just kind of say, tell me what one thing you like about, you know, one thing that you enjoy doing. And then the people got to guess who that person is, you know. So we try and do some icebreakers to kind of, you know, get them laughing or get them comfortable a little bit, you know, and then kind of see how they connect and react to one another and things like that, you know. But you absolutely right. They, you know, I can't say that our groups are manipulative, but they very, they'll try you.
Yeah, and not only that, I don't mean manipulative in a bad way.
No.
I just mean that they have a way of being persuasive and changing your idea to thinking like they would. You know, when you begin to talk to them, you begin to see things differently. You know, you begin to look at it just like Felice's example of the, you know, turning that verse into a whole different verse. You see it a whole different way. And when you work with youth, I know from the years that I worked with them at the boys club, the stuff that they would bring to me just with simple games, they'd be like, well, you don't have to play pool. You could play this. And I'm like, huh? You know, so you have to be able to be just as open as they are, because in this youth writers, you're talking about them producing what they feel. Right. So you want it to be as much about them than you giving them words or you giving them ideas. You want them to open to it. So I commend the program. I love it every year when I get that message that says, hey, it's time. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I love it.
I appreciate you so much, because I know if I hit that button and say, you know, they did their book, now we need your help, you know. It's always absolutely, you know, it's absolutely, it's a blessing. You're a blessing. You're a blessing to us, because, you know, I just be like, I can't see anymore, you know, like,
right. And it's the same thing when we write our own books. You know, you read it so many times and you go over it so many times and you have the idea so many times that you need to take your eyes out, put them to the side, and get a new set of eyes on the book. So the thing is that I don't mind, because if I was closer, I would be right there with you. You know, that's the type of program it is. I just enjoy working with children, period. Even though they are manipulators, I still love working with them.
No, I love this. I love it.
When you said it, when you explained it, they are, because I would bring in water and maybe Sprite. Then it's like, well, you know, Sprite, some people say Sprite isn't all of that, but if you brought in this, it would be better for us. You know, it's like they will try and convince you. This is better for them, even though it has more sugar in it. You know, it'll help their mind, and they can, you know, think.
And they'll give you every excuse to add on to why they should have it.
Right. But that shows that they are really engaged in it, manipulative or not. They have really figured out, you know, they're engaged, whether it's like, let me see if I can trick you into something, but they're truly engaged, right?
Absolutely.
And I know that we get, or at least I do every now and then, you get detoured in what you're doing. And I know that they have their schoolwork and they have other activities that they're involved in. And they probably get, you know, hey, I'm in this youth writers thing and I'm trying to get this done and I'm trying to get that done. So how do we convert their mindset for the business? Because I know it takes a different mindset to shift once you've gotten all of the basics down, and then you tell them, hey, your book is going to be published. How deep do you, or how do you explain to them the business and how long it's going to take? Because it's not like writing that paper for the teacher in school where you're graded on the paper right away and people are clapping, you know, that you wrote this nice report. They have to wait for the publishing, the editing, and you know, the cover design and everything else. How is it in the program? How is that explained to them? Because now you're changing their mindset for business.
Right, exactly. And you're right. It's not like you write a paper and the teacher hand it back to you the next class and say, this is your grade, you know. And so what we do is we mention that to them throughout the process. You know, what we do is we bring in guest speakers. So we bring in a publisher and they explain the process to them. We bring in authors and they explain the process to them. And like, okay, so I'm an author, and when I do a book signing, I go to an event. You know, and so we not only getting them to write, but we're preparing them for what's going to happen once the book is published as well. You know, and so we take them on field trips depending on what their book is about. Like when the students wrote the hip hop book, we took them to the hip hop museum, right, to try and see if any of that would inspire them, or you know, give them some ideas about what they want to write in their chapters about hip hop. You know, And so all of our sessions, we have speakers that come in to talk directly to that, and then that, you know, like, you know, this is how the publishing process works. We actually explain that to them, so it won't be, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen?
Right.
How the process works. You know, you guys are going to finish in June. Enjoy your summer. Have the summer to yourself.
Right.
You know, which is why we do it from January to May.
Okay.
Right? They put summer to themselves. They're so focused on doing things in the summer, they're not continually asking, "Where's my book? Where's my
right? Smart.
They're happy, right? They're out of school. But what we do is, even when they finish the class, we're continually, giving updates to the parents, like, "Hey, the book is in with the publisher. Hey, we did the final edits to the book. Hey, your book cover is being done now, and then hey, this is what your book cover looks like. What do you think?" So even along the way, after the book is done, we're still connecting with them, giving them step-by-step progress to the book. But luckily to date, everyone seems to get it and understand how the publishing piece works. Like, great, you wrote your book, but bringing these guest speakers in, I think, helped make
it an asset.
Yes, it helped make it much clearer.
Now, I want you to explain, even though you got all of that down pat, and I think I went to one or two, maybe one of the award ceremonies where they finally get hands on their books and they sit at the table like the vendor.
Oh, very good.
They are presented with the awards. They're presented to say, "Congratulations, you wrote a book," and we sit in the audience and applaud them. Tell me, how do you get? And I thought it was fabulous because they all come dressed like they're celebrities.
Oh yeah,
and they get the big celebrity presentation. And, you really think that they think that you really think that they're the top notch, whatever it is that they do, they have committed themselves. By then, they're the authors or co-authors, because sometimes it's 3 or 4 of them in a group that have written the book. They're now close-knit.
Yes.
So when they come to this award ceremony, what is the reaction or the over-the-top reaction that you've gotten, not only from them, but what about the families?
Yeah, the award ceremony, we call it a graduation, just to give it a title for the students, because that's an accomplishment. When you're graduating, whether from high school, middle school, college, and you walk across that stage and you receive that diploma, that's a huge accomplishment, right? To sit in the program every Saturday for 6 months is a huge accomplishment for someone that's 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. That is a huge accomplishment, and this is in addition to them still going to school every day and have to be there every day, right? So I think up until the time that they actually walk in the door for the ceremony, they see the awards on the table, they see the decorations. I think that's when it really hits them. Like, book, when they see their poster board, they see the book, and it's like, I just wrote this book, and look at the book, and they see their photo in the book, they see their bio in the book, they turn the book on the back cover of the book is their picture on the book. That's when I think it really hits. Like, I wrote a book. You can see that they're excited, but then they're nervous at the same time, because this room that looks empty now, because I have them come early, is going to be filled with people in a minute, And so, I think up until that point, they're good, they're feeling good, they're excited, and I think once they get there and they see everything, a little bit of nerves kicks in. But again, I think it's the reality hits up that they are a published author at that point.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Now, I have questions that I'm just burning at, because we've talked about all of this, but help my mind get to you, Miss Patricia. Did you say CPA?
I'm not a CPA, but I'm a cost accountant.
Okay, cost accountant. All right. Anything with numbers is typically a finite thing. How do you get creativity? You are like a dual personality.
That's why I have coaches that work with me, Because sometimes I can get so analytical, right? And you know, which works perfect for a nonprofit, right? To have that accounting background has helped me trying to run a nonprofit when it comes to budget, you know, and funding and things like that. It helped me. It even helped me with the African American Authors Expo, because out of all those years I did that, I never went over budget.
Very good. See?
You know, I never went over budget. You know,
and that's a mark of success for sure.
Yes, for sure. Right. So I was, you know, that piece of it does help me when I'm doing things like Charm City Jazz or the African American Authors Expo or you know, Youth Writers Challenge. But that's why I have writing coaches. Our coaches are authors themselves. They are ghostwriters. They're teachers. You know, and they are those that really enjoy English and writing. Those are the coaches that work really head to head with the students, you know. And I'll pick a class and I'll sit in that class and I'll support the coach with that. Then I'm behind the scenes pulling everything else off, you know, at the same time. So it does help to have that analytical and that accounting background when pulling the whole nonprofit as a whole together.
Okay. Now, just another quick question about that. Do you now, or maybe even in the future, see and maybe I'm assuming something, is it available outside of Maryland? Your organization, your whole challenge,
at this point it's not available, but I have been asked that question a lot, so I know it could work. It could be very successful outside of Maryland. Talking to the right people, getting the foundation, you know, having them do the legwork in terms of finding a location, because that is very important to me, is the location where I have these sessions at. I need the students, but I need the parents to know that these students are safe. They're in a safe place. You know, when they come here and they're there from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They're there for a very long time. And so location is always important to me. You know, like right now we host our sessions at the YMCA. It's a family organization, the YMCA. Well lit, plenty of parking, you know. It's a family place. And so just being able to find that foundation in another location and having someone do the legwork. So I think I'm at that point now. What my thing was, I needed to perfect it here first.
Yes, absolutely.
I took it someplace else, you know.
Absolutely.
The good, the bad, you know, what the fix, what the change, kind of had to get it right here before I can kind of expand in it and put it up. But that is definitely on the list in the very near future.
Okay. So, because I'm in Dallas, so, you know, and I know then that's in North Carolina, but
we've talked about it a few times of us getting it here, and well, I've had to put things on pause, but in January we'll definitely be talking about it again, because the thing about it here, we have a very limited amount of youth that are doing extra. They're doing, but they're doing it individually. They're not doing it in groups or whatever, as far as I can see. Now, I did go to a couple of events, especially at the school, and was approached by several kids that said that they wanted to be in a program, and I told them, hang on, you know, we're going to get something together. So that has been something that I've mentioned to Pat in the past, and I'm looking forward to expanding to, like she said, building it so that it would bring security for the parents as well as the benefits for the children. So that is something that can be hey, I touch you, you touch me, you know, and we keep it going to spread it, because the thing is that they are the next generation.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, they're the next generation, and if you're trying to keep things going to the next generation, especially with the new nuances in computers, programs, and different things, illustrators, all of that entails into the children books and everything.
Yes.
We need to have it where it connects.
Yeah.
Right. And what we're doing, I'm sorry, what we're doing now is when we do the next session, we have some of those students for the session that just graduated come and be a part of the new session.
Right. Right.
Supporting the coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a friendly face that has been through the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're actually bringing them back, you know, and having them help support the students that's in the current session.
Nice.
And putting a pen in their hand is so much easier than trying to force a pen in their hand. If they've already got this type of talent, you know, they've got this type of energy. That's something you want to grow. You know, you want to water that. You want to grow what it is. Now, one of the other things that you mentioned, even with, you know, in your book and, you know, the parts that you did in the book, when we're talking to the children, again, because we tying it in with the children's program, how do we talk about overcoming adversity for them?
Well, that's the beginning start of the conversation when we're trying to determine what to write this book about, right? What's on your mind? Is there anything you going through? Is there anything you want to talk about or you want people to know about in this book, right? So we just have that open conversation. And when we work with these four high school students, the one thing that they all had said was bullying, right? One was doing the bullying, right? And at first they were kind of all a little shy about just saying what they went through, what they experienced. But when the one young lady took off and started explaining how she was being bullied, it made the other three comfortable to share their experiences with bullying. So at that point, the thing was, we want to write a book about bullying. We want to write this book, you know, about not just bullying, but conflict resolutions. So the thing was, what could have been done differently? What if somebody had done this? Would I have been bullied as long as I was bullied? So that book they wrote, The Tormentors, it's about bullying conflict resolution. Right? That book did so well that we turned it into a short film.
Really?
And all youth actors in that film. And we now go to schools and we show this film about bullying, and we have this discussion with the students. Let's talk about it. You know, let's talk about conflict resolutions. You know, and the one guy that was the bully was like, I did this because I was bullied. So in the book and in the film, we talk from the perspective of the bully. What have you gone through? What did you experience? Why are you doing this? Why are you hurt? If you're hurt, does that mean you want to hurt someone else because you're hurt? You know, so the book is about bullying and conflict resolutions. But yes, we try and pull in, you know, even the red balloon, you know, about the bullying, saying, I'm going to help my friend. She doesn't have what I have, but with this red balloon, I can get special powers, and I can help her and her parents by making. They lived on a farm, and the weather was just terrible, so none of their vegetables or anything would grow for them to sell. And so the red balloon gave the land fertile soil, and you know, they was able to grow everything they needed to survive, and her best friend didn't have to move away.
So I love it. Wow, it's healing. It's healing in so many ways. That is amazing. And oh my goodness, you need to
so we can talk about diversity in the beginning, and that's how we get to the base of the book.
Yeah.
You know?
And Pat, will you share with the audience and share with Felice as well? We did one story. I don't remember the title of it, of course, because when you send it to me, it's just pages, and I don't remember. The top of the page. I just remember what's in the pages.
Right.
But it was the one where there was a historical background, where the children were seeking the history of the area. I don't remember what the name of the book was, where they were going around looking for clues as to what was done in certain areas, and it was historical. It was all history of this particular area, the school, the area that they were in. Just explain to them how that evolved.
Again, we try and find commonality between the students that are going to be writing the book, right? And just again having that conversation in the beginning. What do you like to do? You know, what do you enjoy doing? You know, they came up with the STEM, right? We know STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and now I think they put in arts, right? We knew that STEM is being done in all schools. Some schools are just STEM schools, you know, and these were middle schoolers, right? So it was falling right in line to what they wanted to do. And one just says she likes to get creative and make cupcakes, right? She just tries different recipes and she creates these flavors herself, you know. And another guy was a tech guy. He said, no, I enjoy fixing things. I like taking things apart and putting them back together. So again, just based on those things that they're interested in, we kind of come up with a concept that will make a good read. And in this particular book, like Nanette said, they got together, you know, one was good in science, one was good in engineering, one was good in technology, and one was good in math. And they read a story that 50 years ago, a bank robber stole money from a bank, and no one, the FBI, police, no one could find this money where this bank robber. And they went back to City Hall. They found the plans for that area where the school was 50 years ago, what it looked like on the grounds. You know, they did a lot of research and said, if we look in this particular area, we're going to probably find that money. And so they created gadgets, you know, they did what they needed to do, taking this historical information from 50 years ago to the technology that they have now. And they took both of those things, they put them together, and they found that money.
They did.
What? They found that money. They thought they was going to keep it.
Darn it.
But it was like, we can't give you all this money, but we're gonna give a parade for you, and we're gonna give you all scholarships, you know.
Nice. Because you know, and that's amazing. I love that.
Now you see why I don't know the titles to the stories. All I know is the stories.
Yeah, it was called the STEM Detectives.
The STEM Detectives.
I love it.
That's all I could remember was, you know, like I wanted to know each. It was like she was giving me different pieces, and I was like ahead of the pieces. You know, never mind the editing. I want to know where they're going next. You know, they had me going, and it was a children's book. This was a children's book. And I think that our youth, you know, like as they go into phases, and we all have children that are now adults, but you know, as grandchildren coming up and everything else, you see less and less of them turning the pages and more of them looking on the computer for information. And recently, maybe for the beginning of the summer, my son did the same thing to his youngest that I did to him and his sister when they were younger. You know, stop telling me you have nothing to do. Grab a book, right? You know, go read. You know, so now she carries around her like she's now reading the Babysitter's Club. You know, and she's 8. But she's reading the Babysitter's Club. So she has an interest. Like she said, well, some of the story doesn't sound right. You know, you have to just change the names. And I'm saying, change the name. amazing.
She's creating her own story.
She's creating her own
Yeah.
story, and she goes along like how she thinks the story should go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so I see the creativity, and like I said, when their minds are running, you have to catch it.
You have to sometimes say, like the book that these kids just finished in June, right? We have their graduation November 2nd. And they, out of this program, 2 books. We had to do 2 books.
Wow.
So we split the groups. We did grades 4 through 6 and then grades 7 through 12. And with the 4 through 6 book, they wanted so much stuff in here. And I'm like, guys, that book would be so big that no one would ever finish it.
Right.
Right. So I had to negotiate with them. Like, they were strong. They were
manipulated.
There you go. They were so strong with their opinion that I said, okay, you know what? Let's end the book in a way where we could pick up with another book.
Yeah, I'm thinking trilogy. There,
right.
You know, so that was agreeable to them. You know, they,
I love it.
Agreeable, and they accepted that. But you know, when they're in this program, right? And again, like I said, a lot of them come in shy, and then as they get to know the people in their group, they start connecting with them, right? So not only are they really just writing a book, but they are learning social skills. They're learning how to collaborate. You know, they're learning how to write a story from beginning to end in the middle. A lot of times they would skip either the beginning, the middle, or the end. But now they do the connection and they understand how important that is. And when we get emails from the parents saying that the teachers are like, what are they doing? Because they are writing right now. You know, they're actually participating in class because that shy piece of them is now open, right? So now they're waving their hands, they're participating, they're offering up suggestions, or what about if we did it this way? You know, so I know that this program is not just making them published authors, but it's actually making them grow. You know, as an individual. And not everyone that leaves the program continues writing. That's not what this is about. It's not to get them started so that they can continue wanting to be an author, but it's giving them enough courage to say, I can do what it is that I want to do. You know, so the young lady that was, you know, making her cupcake, she now has her cupcake business. Right? Sister Sweets. If y'all want to go online and look at Sweets. They are doing they are now more encouraged to do that one thing that they really want to do, and really don't think it's stupid anymore. You know, they might have thought it's silly. No one's gonna, you know, think it's a good idea, but now they have enough confidence in themselves that they're gonna try it. Right. They are
you've opened up a whole different thing for them, and not only that, they can see a different avenue rather than always looking toward the avenues that are highlighted. Like everyone highlights the child that's into athletics. Everybody highlights the child that's maybe into you know, playing an instrument or dancing. You know, so this gives them, even if they don't think they're going to be a writer later on, it gives them, like you said, the opportunity to become who they are. You know, it's the opportunity for them to open up and become better at being who they are, understanding adversity, understanding, you know, there's a need for connection and there's a need for communication. It gives them a well-rounded background for them to be able to springboard off of, because you're dealing with them from 4th grade. They're getting ready to go into middle school. So they're getting ready to go into those, you know, stages of, is my friend from the kindergarten still going to be my friend in 5th grade? You know, they're going through those differences. So you're hitting them right at the time where, you know, most parents are going haywire, and you've calmed some of that storm. Because, you know, they're able to, you know, they're able to do some things. Now, with me saying that, have you found that it's been surprising to the parents?
Yes. I think I think they'd be like, oh, this is great. Oh, they're going to become an author. But I think it becomes surprising to them once these students go home and say, this is what I did today, or start asking them questions, like, whatever the instructor may have said, this is what we've learning for the day. They go back home and say, hey, have you ever done this? Like, have you structured it this way? And so at the end of it, I think they are truly surprised that they didn't just write the book, but they grew. We start them at this stage, and in the beginning, it's kind of like, we on the same level. You coming into this class and us, we on the same page, right? You got to sign a behavioral agreement. They got to sign a contract. The students, you have to sign this contract saying you're going to give your all to this. You're going to abide by the rules, right? So it gives them some responsibility, from the beginning of it, and they take that responsibility and they hold it tight. Because a part of that is, I'm like, you can't tell anybody about this book. We don't want anybody.
Right.
It's a confidentiality agreement you have to sign. And I would talk to the parent and say, do they tell you much? And he'd be like, no, he keeps it on wrap. They're not telling me. They take these things seriously because we're giving them that responsibility.
Yeah. You're very empowering. I can see that. Just, the whole thing is, as you said, not only do you give them the tools and there's healing in it, but so much empowerment to, too many times we tell, they get a message, maybe we're not, that they're too young to do something, or they're not equipped to do this and everything, as opposed to us really allowing our children to show us who they are at an early stage. It's rare that we do that, is giving them that kind of identity early on, and then letting them develop that. I think a lot has been said about our education system right now. We don't teach children to be who they're purposed to be in education, right? That the system is just a cattle call, and we just teach them these basic things, reading, writing, arithmetic, but it teaches them nothing about themselves, right? And so I love.
When they write these books, I try and say, ask the teacher, can we come in and let you sign some books, right? I'll offer up the books. Just come in, sign some books, so that these other students can see
it, right?
Yeah, I love.
I can do this too. And one of the teachers was like, I feel so ashamed. She felt bad that she never finished her book and her student finished it. She said, I feel so ashamed. I feel like, I have the ability to do this. I know I do. And yet I kept pushing it off and pushing it off. So he inspired.
Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it.
That she was doing,
And not only that, we need to make them, as Felice said too, you have to make them accountable. So you're teaching them accountability as well. By telling them that, okay, you've got this. This is a talent that you're tapping into. Let's get this done, but you got to be accountable for it.
Yeah.
You have to be accountable for it. And you'll see at the end what that accountability has brought you to. You'll see where it's coming from and how important it is to be accountable. How important it is to say, hey, I'm doing this because. So with in summing up what we do, other than these fantastic kids in this phenomenal program, and
what do you mean summing up? I like 40 more questions.
I
Summing it up.
can come back anytime, y'all can bring me back anytime.
Please ask your question, baby. Ask your question.
Because this so much, and I feel I know where you get your energy and your motivation from just by this conversation. But I'm in this space where I'm like, we talk to great people all of the time. But here's the thing. Where do you, or how do you balance all of the things that you do? And then what are some of the things you do for self-care because you're taking care of a lot of people and a lot of personalities and all of that. So how do you take care of Miss Patricia?
I probably could do better, but one thing, because my husband is in the same boat, right? He has an entertainment company called Charm City Jazz, and so he's constantly producing shows, and then he has a full-time job too, and he had, we have children, we're married. One thing we do that I know absolutely helps is that we take a lot of quick getaways.
Okay.
It might be 3-4 days, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. But we do that and we reset and then we come back.
Yes.
We reset, because you're absolutely right. Even though that program is 6 months, it's from January to June with the kids, I still got 3-4 months. I got to plan this thing, right? Right? So it's not 6 months for me. It's more like 10 months for me to pull off a program, right? Yeah. And so we do things, we go to concerts, we do things that we love to do, right? Yeah. Like we do, if I'm like, I just want to be by the water, we just drive down to Ocean City. Yeah. And so it's very important to be able to give of myself to the youth writers and to my job, into supporting other people. I have to get refilled quite often, and doing those things that we love to do. Other people might be like, y'all too old for that. My kids said it all the time. And they do. They be like, y'all going where? Y'all go someplace all the time. Like, y'all never home. I'm like, we empty nesters. We don't need to be home.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yes. And not only that, you say that, and it's funny. I went to Raleigh recently and stayed, had an event and went there. And of course, because we are older, we now don't go and come right back.
Right.
Now it's where we used to take that drive and just come right back. I'm not coming back. We're going to stay and be there. We ain't coming back. Exactly. But we're still going, but we ain't coming right back. Yeah. And it's funny because when I know that I have a delivery or something, my grandson has become the delivery person. All right, you got to check the mail. I don't know if they're coming on Friday. They may come on Saturday. Check the mail and bring the mail in the house and make sure that you check to make sure that, whatever. And the only thing he said the last time, he said, and where are we going now?
Right.
So I could tell automatically that he understood and where are we going now?
They be like, y'all going somewhere again. We already got 25 mapped up, and believe me, it's not a lot of months in there that we don't have something that we got going on. But that really
that helps.
Like I said, it allows me to rejuvenate. It allows me to and even with the 6-month session, I'll take a Saturday, and the coaches can handle that, and say, you know what, I'm going to take this Saturday, and then they get to take a Saturday, so we're not all straight through 6 months doing this,
And not only that, it's also an opportunity to like you said, you and your husband getting together with the things that you like. It's not like he's going one way and you're going another way. Right. He's just as involved in what you're doing as you are in what he's doing.
Yes.
So that helps because it's a balance where, hey, did you remember to do this? Hey, did you get that? And my husband does not write a book at all. He's not going to sit down with a pen in his hand. But Pat, and Felice knows too. He is there.
He's gonna show up. He's
a good mailer outer of those books.
Yes, he's gonna mail the books out. He's gonna do. He just walked by the room and said, "Your business cards are here," and he keeps on going. So the thing is, when you have it like that, it doesn't become so strained.
Yeah. Exactly.
It also helps to the balance. It also helps to that.
Yeah.
He is my support, which makes it easier for me to do what I need.
Right.
And definitely the coaches give me, they are dynamic, and I could not do this without them. Much as my heart would want to do it, I can't do it without the coaches.
Exactly.
And
And realizing you can't alleviate some of that pressure too, you
yes.
know, because when we tend as women to put more pressure on us than we necessarily need to. You know, we want the deadline to be the deadline. We want, you know, if it's supposed to have 100, we don't want 99 and a half. We want 100. You know, we want everything to match what it's supposed to be. And that added stress, when you have a support system and you have someone to help you, they give you the other half. Hey, you only got 99 and a half. Here's the other half. You know, you only got this. Here's the other part. So that relieves some of that stress too. That's the beauty of it.
Especially when they have the same vision as you. They're on the same, they're in the same lane. They're not doing it just, okay, I'll do it. But they have the same vision. They're in the same lane, want to accomplish the same thing. And that just makes it so much easier, you know, for us, for the students, for them, you know, to accomplish it in the end, you know, to have the same end goal with them. Yeah.
I love it.
These kids are amazing. Like I take them on, you know, once their book is about to be published, we go on different shows, radio shows, TV, you know, different things like that. And come on, you coming on this show, we're gonna do this interview. And that again, like when they see the books and then they going on TV shows and they go on doing radio shows, it's experience that they have now, you know, something they probably never had before. And that does a world of good to them.
And you know what? And again, just kudos to you because it celebrates them for their work.
Yes.
And in this day and age, when we know that nobody wants to do any kind of work, but once that celebration, you know, social media, me this, do that, you know, and there's no substance behind it. I absolutely love that they are in front of, you know, the world, the community, based upon the work that they put in first. And then they get celebrated in the ways that honors what they did. They earned it.
They did. And that's why it's very important. That you can see some anthology books and a lot of times you'll see the person that created this photo on the page, on the front of the book, you know, or the back of the book. It was very important for me, and I would not budge on this with the publishers, that those students' name are at the bottom of their book, not my name.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Their names are on the front cover of the book, and their photo is on the back. Because I need people to see who wrote this book. So that when kids pick up the book, when their parents buy them the book and they look at it and they turn it over, they see who wrote that book.
Right.
Yeah. On every youth writer's book, you will always see those students' name on the front and you will always see their photos on the back.
Well, kudos to you once again.
Pat didn't do nothing. Pat just kind of helped put it all together, you know, but they did the work. So
it's great. But again, you following your vision, your dream, your God-given purpose, even though you didn't know it in this way, it came to you and you are obedient and you trusted God and you're still trusting God. And man, I love that you are not only blessed being the blessing, but that you're out there being the blessing.
Yes. So I would love to purchase an ad, not an ad, but a write-up in the book, but with one of the authors, maybe.
Listen, I've taken down 2-3 pages of notes. You know that I do this kind of stuff. You already know that's what I do. So I already have your article just about written.
Love it.
I already have your article just about written. So and you know I already told you that I'm stealing pictures from your pages and everything. I've been doing that the last week or so. I was supposed to be making up flyers just for the interview, but I've been going. Oh, they went to a baseball game. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
they
do
went
things
to
like that. You know,
they went to let me get a copy of this little program they got from their last event. I've got the pictures already laid out. I've got everything already done because the January issue will include the youth writers and their story.
Yes.
So we'll have all of that in the January magazine. And yes, I'd like to make sure that we do get a permanent ad for youth writers and how people can contact you, especially those that may want to start a youth writing group in their area.
Yes.
I want
to
yes,
have some kind of connection between us and you so that they can know that yes, we will funnel you in and talk about trying to get this to spread, because we need to have the children be involved in some of the things that they have an interest in, instead of it being a fantasy. And I'm not talking about a fantasy book, but being a fantasy, like cartoon.
Right.
Let's make it a cartoon about what they actually know to be, that they actually have done. Yeah. So with that, I want to give everyone the youthwriterschallenge@gmail.com is the contact information for any emails or anything, and you will get Miss Harris. We'll look into whatever you send, your questions. If you have any questions about how to start the program in your area or what you should do or whatever, you can get in touch with her. Of course, you could get in touch with me as well, but you can get directly in touch with Miss Harris as far as the program is. And you can also go to their website and visit their website, www.youthwritersrock.com, and you can go there and you can see some of the things that they've done. You can look at some of the books they've already accomplished and how the program runs. Please, 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 we're trying to keep the youth involved in the positive. We're trying to keep the youth energetic. We want them to be themselves, but we want them to overcome adversity and be able to face some challenges. And in order to do that, they have to know who they are. And we thank you, Ms. Harris, for coming on and explaining this fantastic program to us. And I don't think we need a shovel. I don't think we need
that shovel is gonna keep the shine.
Yeah, I think the shovel's gonna keep the shine. I think the shovel's
I'm glad.
We need to retire the shovel and maybe here's what we're gonna use the shovel for. Is we're gonna keep digging for some diamonds, like
yes. Break the ground looking for diamonds. Yes.
And I know when we ready to venture out, we got 2 states that we in, right?
That's North right.
Carolina, yes. So we ready.
Yes.
We ready.
Yes. No joke. I'm so inspired by what you've shared with us tonight. And before we do go, I want to ask you this question: is there something that you want us to know that we haven't covered tonight?
The only other thing, like I mentioned, our last cohort ended in June. They wrote 2 books. One is called The Soul Influencer, and the other one is called the Adventures of the Atlas Superheroes. Even the names they come up with is kind of like, okay, the titles, they come up with all that stuff, the titles and everything. But they will be graduating November 2nd here in Maryland, in Owings Mills, Maryland. The event is free. So if any of your listeners are in the area and want to come out and see what it is Youth Writers Rock does and be a part of that celebration, please come on out to the Gordon Center in Owings Mills, Maryland. Again, that information is on my Facebook page, Youth Writers Rock, or Patricia Johnson-Harris Facebook page about the graduation.
Okay. I think that sounds like a weekend trip. I have to talk to the mister. Hey, don't you want to go see Pat?
Yeah. We're planning a women's retreat that weekend, so dang it.
But there's another one coming in 25. So
there you go. There you go.
Okay, so with that, we're going to sign off, and I want you guys to remember to follow us on YouTube. The YouTube channel will have the recorded session here, as well as my website, and as well as Pat, you'll have the link. You can share the link once you get the link with your audience. And Felice, of course, always shares hers. So we'll make sure that, you know, everybody gets an opportunity to get this information because it's important. It's important that our youth do get an opportunity to spread their wings as you know, as well. So I want to thank you again. Please stand by. And good night to everybody else.
Yes,
Good night.
good night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.